My hope is that people will watch this piece of content, will watch the ALU case study, and they'll understand why journey is so important, and hopefully have takeaways, feel inspired to go change something in their business, and to create a better customer experience, or to create a more intentional path for their prospects. But I also think it would be disingenuous if I let people believe that everything went according to plan, because it didn't, and it never does. And that's sort of how small business works. As a true small business, we experienced a lot of the growing pains, and so I want to talk briefly about some of the things that didn't go as planned. So specifically, I'm thinking about we used webinars for as a lead gen tool, and to get in front of audiences, and to disseminate information, and to give people a kind of a sampling of what the ALU faculty was capable of, and the message that we were trying to convey, and to help prospective students understand what we were looking for in their applications. And the webinar softwares, as tends to be the case, didn't always cooperate. Do you know what I'm referencing specifically here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We had a webinar with 1,000 registrants or something like that from all over the continent in all sorts of different time zones, and we had a really prominent and well-known director of McKinsey, which is a world-renowned consulting firm, who wrote the economic white paper on the future of Africa. It was called
Lions on the Move.
Lions on the Move, and it was about he wrote both of them, right?
Yeah.
But it was about the future of what are the economic opportunities in Africa. So anybody that's connected into business knows this paper.
This guy's a big deal, like a legit big deal. Yeah.
We'd successfully run a handful of webinars with some really prominent, attractive types of speakers and guests and so forth. So we had Acha join to give this webinar, and everybody's queued up and ready to go, and we kicked it off and did the intro, and things went smoothly for a minute and a half or two, and everything just stopped, and the broadcast stopped, and everybody was dropped, and he was still presenting and going into his thing, and I personally was panicked, of in disbelief that, okay, something, maybe it's paused, maybe it's muted, maybe this is not the worst case scenario.
Clearly, it's just if we wait long enough, it's going to click back on.
That wasn't the case. And so, I mean, I'm underplaying the disappointment, right, and frustration, and even panic that's going over, because this is a virtual event across time zones and multiple countries, and getting the calendar to get his time to have this done, which he was happy to do, but this is a moment we need to make sure we kick it off, and this is what happens with live events anyway. One of the things we always talk about is there will be blood. You want to mitigate it. But point being, we lost the webinar, and it was over, and we could not open it back up and redeploy it. So it's how we handle it after the fact. Which so there's a couple lessons in that, and one of the things is always have a plan A, plan B, plan C, and plan D, and maybe more if necessary. But then also when, not if, but when there is blood, when things don't go the way that you want, it's how you respond to those things. Can you respond gracefully? Can you respond calmly? And can you spin those things to create confidence and even rapport with your audience or customers or whatever it was. So all that ended up well, but it did not go as planned at all.
Yeah. Now, interestingly, I don't remember. I don't know if this was the same event but what you described is not what I was thinking of.
Oh,
I was thinking of a webinar that we delivered, where the speaker wasn't able to call in, or wasn't able to participate, or wasn't able to log in, and so we had an intermediary third party log into the webinar as Madupe, and then call Madupe over the phone, and hold the phone to the computer speaker, and had this guy deliver a presentation without looking at the slides. He couldn't necessarily see as they were being advanced. There had to be this unspoken trust between the guy holding the phone and clicking advance and the guy delivering the actual content. So this is an entirely separate webinar from what Justin just described, but frustrating in its own way. And I think my point here is that small business doesn't always go as planned, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't have a plan. And the focus of the ALU customer journey content piece is on creating the baseline that should be your customer's experience. And there will always be exceptions to that. But it's going to be harder for you to respond to the exceptions unless you have automated the status quo, unless you have used systems and technology to create the experience for the majority. That is what affords you the opportunity to focus on the outliers. Check it out. There's probably a link somewhere.
If you did your job,
Whoa.
created a decent
We'll
user experience.